We'll get started. There is a chat function at the side. If you've got any questions, if we could just put it into the chat function and we can get to them at the end. So if everybody can see the presentation, we'll just get started. Okay, so a 5-step approach to a safe and legal event. We're going to go over all these. So step 1, legal requirements, essential arrangements and contacts. Step 2, risk assessment and risk management process. Step 3, drawing up an event plan and useful information. Step 4, pre-event checklist and event site inspection. Step 5, clearing up the site after an event is finished and what lessons are learned, and having a debrief is really important as well. Okay, so step 1, as event organiser, you should be aware of the legal requirements. So things like licenses, permits, what do you need to have in place for your event to run safely? Do you need a public entertainment licence? Do you need an alcohol licence? Do you need a street stagers licence? Are you doing a raffle? That kind of thing. It's always good to touch base with Ian Smith on licensing. His contact details will be on the last slide. So health and safety, what do you need to have in place? Are you considering food safety, noise nuisance? Is your event going to be noisy? Are you going to be annoying any neighbours? Waste management, what bins do you need? Do you have enough of them? Staging standards issues, are you having any age restricted products at your event? Are you going to have a fireworks display? Any counterfeit alerts, fair trading, weights and measures, what are you going to have scales there? Building standards, have you spoken to them if you're going to have any staging or any temporary raised structures in your marquee? Structural stability, will you need a permit for your base structure? Are you considering fire? And what about access for the disabled? You need to consider these things as well. Traffic management. So on road safety, do you need a road traffic closure? Do you need a road closure order? That needs time. You need to have that in place so many weeks before your event. What parking arrangements are you going to have on site? Do you need temporary traffic signs? If there are going to be lots of heavy vehicles going to and from your event, is it possible that the road could be damaged? Publicity, are you letting the residents know that you're going to have an event? Timescales, it's always better to let people know if something's going to be noisy and how long it's going to be on for, so you're less likely to get complaints. Have you considered giving them free tickets or getting them to help out as volunteers for the event? Risk management and insurance requirements, all very important things to remember as well. Equal opportunity, stage protection for your volunteers too, medical cover and first aid. Okay, so step 2, risk assessment. You need to identify the activities, the hazards, who could be harmed, how you're going to control the risks, how you're going to monitor and review the risks. Fire safety risk assessment should be a separate document, and we have templates for that too. So we've got Craig Smith on this training today. If you've got any questions for fire, I'm sure you'd be happy to answer them at the end. So I'll pull up our risk assessment template that we use in the Western Isles here. Okay, so I'll go up to the top if you can all see that. So it's just a template for you to utilise as event organisers. We appreciate that most of your volunteers, you have day jobs and it's very hard to start things from scratch. So you can use this as a template to get you started. It's basically ticking boxes to show that you've read, you've thought about things that could happen at your event and what measures you're putting in place to mitigate or minimise the risks. Okay, so we'll go through this. So what is a risk assessment? And then how to complete it. And then you look at identifying the hazard. So it could be things like slips, trips and falls. Is there a fire hazard? Are you going to have generators on site? Access and egress points. Can people enter the site safely? Can people leave the site safely if there's an emergency? Adverse weather. Where we live, the weather's not always great, unfortunately. Today is lovely, but it doesn't happen that often. So you need to think about things, even in the height of summer. Say you're going to have an agricultural show. What is your plan if the weather's bad? Who's going to decide if the event's not going to go ahead because of the weather? And then giving people plenty of time so that they don't turn up at site when the event's not on. So considering things like security, like for cash handling, vehicle movement on and off site, so setting up the site, Are you going to have marshals in place to make sure vehicles can get on safely? Is there a 5-mile-an-hour restriction? Do they need to have hazard lights on? Parking on site. Are you going to have cars close, like be allowed to park close to the site? How are people then, if they're disabled, going to get to the site? So it's all things to consider. Having chemicals and other substances on site. Poor lighting, heating or ventilation. So are you going to have lighting on your site? Is your event at night? Is it during the day? If it's at night time, even in the height of summer, it does get dark. So do you have emergency lighting in place? And then identifying who could be harmed and how, evaluating the risk. So how likely is something going to happen? You need to, as event organizer, look at how risky is this? Is it a high risk thing or is it a low risk thing? Okay, and then getting procedures in place, so specific safe working procedures, making sure your marshals know what's happening and when. Are they trained? Have you given them a debrief on site? Are they wearing high vis? Are they easily identifiable? Do they know where you are as event organizer should something go wrong? Can they contact you by phone? Is there mobile signal on site? Is there communication in place? And does everybody know what they're doing? Okay, so and recording your findings, making sure that's all recorded on your risk assessment template. So we've gone to the second page. So it's really just a lot of common sense, taking what's in your head and putting it onto paper. Okay, so looking at things like slips, trips and falls, and then ticking, have you done a pre-event site visit? Is there adequate lighting in place? Is there an emergency route? Is it kept clear at all times? Things like manual handling risks. Are you providing trolleys and things to help marshals move boxes and tables and things? If it's heavy work, get 2 marshals to help. Do you have enough volunteers to help? Lack of first aid for an injured person. Do you have first aiders on site? You can get information about how many you need and what type of first aiders you need in the Purple Guide, which we'll touch on later in the presentation. But the Purple Guide is a great resource if you're an event organizer. It covers all sorts of things, and it's a real good go-to if you're an event organizer. So access and egress is another point. So risk of injury for the public. Is the entrance and exit constructed to allow easy access for disabled people? And is there a procedure in place for emergency evacuation? So if there is an emergency, where does everybody on site have to go? Where's safe for them to meet up? And how do you get everybody off site? Adverse weather, high noise levels. Is there limited access to noisy equipment? How would this be done? And detailing how it would be done. Monitoring noise, if noise is going to be an issue. Having hearing protection for staff. Crowd intensity, vehicles. So making sure that if there is vehicles on site, you have measures in place so drivers know they need to drive slowly. Is there a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit? Is the hazard lights have to be on when they're on site? Is there a certain way they have to go through the site? They're not allowed just a free-for-all. If there's children on site, making sure they're supervised by a responsible adult. If you're having a carnival and floats, making sure that the vehicle is safe and that there's sides on it and all these kind of things. So then we've got some event-specific risks here. So you've got for bonfires, fireworks, torchlight processions. The list is kind of endless. We've just put on things covering various events that we've had up here in the Western Isles. But you can certainly add your own. So we've got marquees as well. So things that could happen with a marquee, it could collapse. Making sure that you've got it from an approved supplier. If you own your own marquee, are you getting it checked regularly? Does it have all the right tickets on it? Is it fire resistant? Monitoring for wind speeds. If certain wind speeds you can't have the marquee up, it's very difficult to put up as well. And certain wind speeds, who's checking how windy it is? Do you have an anemometer on site? So vehicles again. We've got things like beach cleanups. A lot of our groups up here do that as a fundraiser, young groups, youth clubs. Again, making sure those that are organising it, they've thought of the risks. Do they have gloves? Are are the children told, what they should and shouldn't pick up, that kind of thing. And then we've got fun runs as well down here. And then on the next page, we've got like event specific. So it's really up to you as event organizer, what kind of things you want to put on depending on your event. So this is just a template that we offer event organizers as a starting point for you to start the whole risk assessment process. And yeah, I do appreciate that it can be daunting, especially if you've never done one before, but that's where we are here to help you. If you have any questions, please just contact me, or Cara's on the call as well. You can get our contact details. They're on the last page of the presentation. Call us anytime or send us an email. No question is too daft, We are here to help you and hold your hand along the way. So we'll go back to presentation. There we go. So done risk assessment, and Craig's kindly given lots of fire risk assessment templates. So if you're needing them, we can get those sent out to you as well. So step 3, how to plan and event safely, that should be, sorry. As an event organizer, identify the scale, type and scope of the event, the type and size of audience you have. Is it mainly going to be for adults, or is it going to be a family event? Location, where are you going to have it? And duration of the event, how long is it going to be? So bearing in mind, the event might happen on one night, but how many days before are you going to have to start setting up? And how many days after the event is it going to take to de-rig, get everything off site? So that you should be considering all of that when you are looking at organising your event. And the time of day and the time of year the event will be held. Okay, so you start off with an event safety plan. So what type of event is it? Is it going to be a fun day, a soup and pudding fundraiser, a coffee morning, those kind of things? Location. So is it going to be at a community hall? Is it going to be outside? Is it going to be at school? Site plan. So it's really important to draw out and visualize the layout of your event. And it's really good for us in environmental health and other agencies as well to look at your kind of vision. So if you've drawn out a site plan with toilets, stalls, first aid point, where the stewards are going to be, entrance, exit, where the food vendors are going to be, as much information as you can on a visual drawing, it's a really good tool for us to see how you've kind of thought things through, and then you can talk to it. So if it's a really big event, we would invite you to the safety advisory group, and that is a group where there's lots of different agencies that sit in it. So we've got police, fire, ambulance, coast guards, environmental health, licensing, emergency planning. And it's a really good one point that you come to as event organizer, especially for larger events, and you can discuss your event and any queries or questions that the agencies have, we can just deal with it there and then. And it's just a really good way of communicating what you're doing and how you're going to do it, rather than lots of back and forth. That can be quite time consuming for you as an event organizer, but if you can just meet the safety advisory group, we normally sort of start with our larger events. We have a meeting kind of in February, and then that's like an in-person one, and then there's kind of communication back and forth with the event safety plans and the risk assessments and all the procedures, and then it gets dialogue going, and they know that if they have any queries or anything, that they can go to the SAG, and things are dealt with pretty quickly. And then sort of going forward, we maybe sort of discuss the event monthly or every 6 weeks, depending on what it is. So it's really good if you're organising, especially a larger event, to get in touch with us about a year before. It gives everybody time to get the whole process started, and get the dialogue going, because the less time you have, especially when you're organising a larger event, it is very tricky, because like I don't just deal with events, I deal with all aspects of environmental health, so it is a bit of a juggle trying to get everything done. So the sooner that you come to us and start discussing your event, the better. So yeah, and when you come to us, we can have a chat about whether you lead an license or whether you need to attend the SAG. So an event safety plan template, please keep it simple. If you can read and understand it, you'll use it. The template that we're going to go on to just now, I can send it out to you in a Word document, so you can type it up. And then most events, if they happen annually, they don't change that much. Maybe the committee does, or various things do, but if you have it typed up, then you can pass it on to the next kind of organising committee. And it's like a dynamic document. It does change, things get changed, just depending what's happening and who's involved. and include a brief summary of the event. So we'll look at the example template just now. It is available on our website. We had a cyber attack in 2023. I feel like we're still ongoing, and there's so many cyber attacks just now. But our website fell victim to the cyber attack, so it's taken quite a while to get everything built back up. We are hopeful to have it as a good resource at some point in the future. I'm working on the public events pages just now, so the risk assessment template's on, and I will have the event safety plan template on in the next few days as well. Okay, so we'll go over that just now. Okay, here's the event safety plan. Okay, so event safety plan, and this is just for your own organisation's details, and then you put in like the event, where it's going to be, when it's going to be. So include in here like your setting up time and your de-rigging time, so taking everything away after the event. And then you type in your event overview. What is it that you're going to do? How many people are going to go? Who's the main event organiser, and contact details. Okay, and this is a bit of information about the Safety Advisory Group and how we can support you with your event. Yeah, so it's the Safety Advisory Group, you're in touch through all phases of the event. And then here for permissions, it goes through the different licenses and permits that you might need and the deadline. So for a public entertainment license, you've got a 28-day deadline, which is fine if it's like a wedding or something. But if you're organising a bigger event, we would want that in at sort of 6 to 12 months before. You've got your race structure, your road closure order. If you're wanting to let land from the council. Okay, so again, this is a template plan. It's just a basic template for you to start you off. So we'll go through all the different points. So point 3, key event management contacts. We ask for at least 3 contacts, just in case something happens to somebody or somebody stops being involved. If you're invited to the Safety Advisory Group, we would ask that at least 2 people from the organising committee come along, just because, you know, different people pick up different things from meetings, so it's always good to have two people there. Is this event a recurring event? If you've had it before, put in details of what you did and who was involved. Risk assessment, have you done your risk assessment? What are your significant findings? And again, you refer to the template that we just went over. Fire precautions, do you need a specific fire risk assessment? If you don't, why don't you? Write that in there. Event overview and background, is it indoor, outdoor? Are the public going to it? Is it ticket only? Is it manned entry? And information about that. So if you're going to have bands at your event, is there VIPs or other people coming along? So if there's VIPs, they quite often attract a larger crowd, so you have to bear that in mind. Do you need greater security stewarding? Do you need police presence there? Bearing in mind, like if you do have a big event and you're wanting the police there, you may have to pay for it. Same with having the ambulance there. If your event is of a certain size and you require the Scottish Ambulance Service, they will likely charge you for being there. Okay, what is your venue like? How many people can it hold? Event timetable, so it's times of setting up, times of the actual event, what's happening and when. Break it all down and then put a description against each part. Emergency evacuation plan, have you thought about how people can get out of your event safely and who's going to manage that? Security personnel, stewards and marshals. If you don't require stewards, why don't you require stewards? Do you require security there? What kind of event is it? Is it a family event? Is it going to be mainly adults? Do you need to have paid security? Do you need a security industry authority registered person there? Making sure they've got high vis, that they're easily identifiable as well. Because if there's somebody in trouble, they need to speak to somebody, they need to know who a steward is. Communication, is there mobile signal on site? Or do you need radios for the marshals to communicate with each other? Have you let local residents know? Okay, site plan. So we would ask that a detailed site plan is attached to the event safety plan so that we can easily see what's happening, where it's happening and how it's going to happen. Audience type. Are you going to have little ones there? Is it for toddlers? Is there going to be elderly? Is it a big mix of people? Estimated numbers as well. So if you're in extreme weather, what you're going to do if the event has to be cancelled, are you going to be checking the forecast, long range, and then a few days before, who is the one that has the final say so for the event not to go ahead? And if you decide that it's not going to go ahead, how are you going to let the audience know that it's not going ahead? How will you manage refunds? It's all things to consider as well. Public highway and access, is the event close to the road? Is there going to be a car park? Is there a public car park that can be used? Do you have to make a car park? Do you have landowner's permission for being there in the first place? Depending what kind of event it is. Okay. Do you need a road closure order? Water hazards. Is your event close to the sea or a river or a loch? Have you considered that as a hazard? Is it part of your risk assessment? What measures do you have in place to make sure that nobody can access the water? If people are drinking at the event, how are you going to make sure they're not wandering off? Do you have enough marshals to make sure that everybody's kind of kept in safely at the event? Do you have tall fencing so people can't get out? There's only certain ways they can get in and out. Do you have clickers? Are you counting how many people are in, how many people are leaving? We live in an island community, so we do need to be mindful of the water being around us, and what safeguarding measures you're going to have in place, especially if there's young ones or people are under influence of drink or drugs. Okay, temporary structures. If there's none associated with the event, tick that box. If you're going to have staging, you need to speak to building standards about that. I put a link in for that. If any of the links don't work, though, just let me know and I'll send you the correct details. So fire and capacity control as well for your marquees, making sure that they're not over capacity, that you know how many people are allowed in each tent. Are you going to have bouncy castles and other inflatables at your event? If you do, make sure that the supplier has all the right certification, that they're tested regularly. Are they going to be manned or are they not? Who's going to be responsible for them? Contractors, are you going to have anybody on site that's going to help you with like electrics and various things at the event, making sure that they have the right tickets, that they're qualified in what they're doing, and their details should be included in this section as well. Lighting or power failure, what are you going to do in an emergency if the lights don't work? You need to have a backup plan. Electrical equipment, are you using any on site? Do you have diesel generators or petrol generators? Are they maintained? Can you demonstrate that they're safe to use? Water supply, are you using the mains water? Are you close to a water supply? Are you using temporary water supply? All that information is required. So like if you've got food vendors there, what are they going to do with their wastewater? Have you thought about that? Okay, so welfare arrangement, toilets. Do you have enough toilets for the size of your event? Do you have enough bins? Have you spoken to the council about getting recycling bins and all the various residual bins and composting bins? And what are the vendors going to do with their rubbish as well? It's a good idea to have the vendors kind of in one place and they can have their own toilet, like their own portaloo behind their units, and they could have like their own bins and also their own like a wastewater, like an IBC for wastewater that can be removed at a later date. It's all things to consider. Do you have enough food vendors as well? Making sure you've got enough food vendors for how many people you're going to have at your event. Parking arrangements. What first aid provision are you going to have at the event? So depending on how many people that you're going to have will determine how many first aiders you need and the types. The Purple Guide again has a really good section on first aid and what you need. So like an event, let me see, has under 3,000 people, which most of ours do. You should have, so at a very small event, you need a minimum 2 first aiders at your event for the first 1,000 attendees. So yes, you get away with 2 first aiders, but you need to make sure that they have the event first aid training. So not everybody that's a nurse or doctor actually has that. So check with your insurance what they actually need, because you wouldn't want to have somebody there that doesn't have the right training and that makes your insurance invalid. So accidents and incidents. As event organiser, you need to make sure that you're aware of the RIDDOR reporting. So even though you're mainly volunteers, the HSE still regards you as employees under RIDDOR. So you need to make sure if anybody does hurt themselves and is taken to hospital from your site, that is reportable under RIDDOR. So you have the forms and you're able to do it online. And that's something that can get done as long as it's 10 days, within 10 days of it happening. So when you've de-rigged the site, you can then look at doing that. But again, any questions, you can just get in touch with us. So safeguarding of children and vulnerable adults, you need to make sure that you've got a lost children policy. If there is children attending your event, what do you do if a child goes missing? What is your procedure? How do you make sure that they're returned safely to their parents? Alcohol and drugs. As event organisers, you need to be aware that there will be issues with alcohol and drugs probably at your event. So you need to have something in place. If alcohol is being sold at your event, make sure you've got the right licenses in place. And you have to assume that there will be issues. So what do you do if somebody's under the influence? You can't just throw them out of your site. You're kind of responsible for them, so you need to make sure that they're going to get home safely, or you can't just turn somebody out if they're under the influence. Okay. Drones. Are you going to have drones at your event? Is it a licensed operator? Livestock or animals, so an agricultural show. Make sure there's good separation in place. You've got hand washing facilities as well, and make sure there's somebody who's responsible for that area of the show. Music and noise levels. How is it going to be managed? Food and drink. Is there food going to be made at the event? Is it going to be caterers coming in, the food vendors coming in with trailers? We'd want a list of who was going to attend, make sure they had the right food hygiene training and they had the right paperwork. So yeah, we ask that information is passed on to us at least 14 days before the event, just to give us time to contact them and see what they've got in place. Bonfire and fireworks. Is there a bonfire? What are you doing? What kind of risk assessment do you have in place? Are you advertising? Are you letting animal owners locally know that there's a bonfire close by and how long the fire is going to be on for? And just detailing the measures there. Vehicle safety. Are you going to have floats? This is like a carnival. Making sure drivers are aware and operators know their responsibilities. Do you have public liability insurance for your event? Protect duty. So this is a new, I'm sure, I don't know if you've all heard of Martin's Law. It's following the Manchester Arena attacks. Martin's Law, just making sure that event organisers are aware of the possibility of terrorist attacks. And I know that we're up in the Western Isles, but it is something that we still need to consider. And just writing on here what it is, what measures you've got in place. There could be additional barriers. You're doing extra checks on people. If there's somebody's left a bag, what do you do? If it's a suspicious package and there's nobody near it. So writing down what procedures you've got in place. There's a really good online training course. I actually did it. It's about half an hour. And it just makes you sort of look at things a bit more. You're a bit more wary of packages and things lying about. So it's making sure that any stewards and marshals you have at your event are aware of this and maybe offer them the free online training course to do it, or at least if some of the volunteers have done it, and then they can explain to the other volunteers things to kind of look out for. Hostile vehicle mitigation, again, that's the terrorist to do with terrorist attacks, making sure that you've got measures in place that vehicles can't just drive onto the site. That's why fencing is so important to secure a site. And again, just writing in here what measures you've got in place. So if there is vehicles on site, make sure it's like you've got a list of people that can come on. So if you've got bands or VIPs, you've got a dedicated driver and minibus or whatever, so you know who's allowed on site with the vehicle and who's not. And again, so we've got 39 going on here, just blank ones. So things you can add in yourself that are specific to your own event. So this is just a template that we give out to event organisers, and I mean, feel free to add to it, delete, change, whatever. It's just a starting point for yourselves. So we'll go back to the PowerPoint now. So I mentioned about the site plan. Draw out how it will look on the day. It's such a good visual for yourselves and ourselves to see how you're thinking, basically. Location of tents and marquees and stalls. And for indoor and outdoor events, a site plan is really handy. Okay, so step 4, pre-event checklist and event site inspection. So before, during and after your event, you should carry out a series of checks to ensure that everything in your plan has been covered. Are we doing everything that we've said that we're going to do? Is there anything we're missing? Get a fresh pair of eyes on it. That's why it's good to have a few people on your organising committee. Have a walk round. Pre-event, have you covered everything? And on the day, daily checklist, is everything in place? Has anything changed from what we decided before? And pre-start checks, are the tents tied down? It's all common sense things. So are the tents tied down? Do you have an anemometer for wind speeds? How windy is it today? Is it okay for the tents to stay up? Is it something we need to watch? Is there gusts of wind? And when you're taking down gazebos and tents, please be mindful that a gust of wind can pick it up. So always have at least 2-3 people dismantling each gazebo, and just be mindful to leave it until the crowd goes. We have had an issue before in the past where event organisers started taking down some gazebos and the crowd was still there. And one of the gazebos, there was one person taking it down and the wind caught it and it blew into a crowd of people. So just be mindful that things can happen, and things can go wrong. Okay, is everything secure? And training and briefing for stewards. So again, just spending time with the stewards before the event, what you're expecting of them, what they need to know as well. So on the day checks, who's responsible? Where are you as event organiser? Are you in a fixed location on site? Are you obvious to stewards? Is it clearly marked? Do stewards know how to speak to you, how to communicate with you if something goes wrong? And if anyone has any issues, to know exactly where to go for assistance. And then there's the link for the video reports for any reportable accidents. Okay. So step 5, evaluate and debrief. How well did the event go? This is afterwards. As event organisers, breathe a sigh of relief that it all went well, hopefully. Any lessons to be learnt from the event? What went well? Planning for the future. If anything went wrong, is there things that you would like to have done better? Ask the organising committee when people are walking around, is there things that were brought to their attention from somebody that the audience didn't like particularly, or there's always room for improvement. We can always improve on things that we're doing. So useful links, the purple guide, I spoke about that before. This is a really, really, really good tool. Great to give you information about all sorts of things to do with your event. So like crowd control, medical provision, sanitary facilities, fire safety, electrical lighting. That's just some of the sections. It's £30 for a year and it's so worthwhile. It gives you confidence in what you're doing. Loads of good sections like volunteering, first aid provision, that kind of thing. Have a look online. There's like a light version. You can access small chunks of it without paying the £30, but it's well worth paying. It promotes good practice and safety and welfare planning for the events and ensures events cause minimal adverse impact to the community. There's regular updates as well. Yeah, I would recommend that. And just useful contacts going forward. So my own contact details here, my work mobile number, Alan Saunders and Craig Smith from Scottish Fire and Rescue can be reached on this email. Craig is on the call today. Safety Advisory Group email address is there, and Ian Smith in Licensing, who's normally people's first port of call if they have any